let's learn about the first principle, which is giving direction. We always start with this principle because it's the easiest to do and it gives you the quickest results. Now, the definition of giving direction that I use is describing the desired style in detail, or you can reference a relevant persona. So let's see how that works. We're going to start with the naive prompt that we began with in the beginning, which is to write a blog post on prompt engineering. And you can see here that we're getting a pretty generic blog post. It's always called like Mastering the Art of Prompt Engineering, something similar. It's really boring and doesn't deserve to exist on the internet. You know, it's comprehensive, it's useful as an answer, but this is something someone should get as an answer from ChatGPT rather than something they might want to read online, in my opinion. So I'm going to hit stop there. I'm going to try it again. So just going to change this prompt, and we're going to say, in the style of J.K. Rowling. Now, I wanted to go in a different direction here. I wanted my blog post to be a little bit more fantastical, like fantasy. I want it to be in the form of a story, because that's going to help me differentiate it. And I'm just using this as an example, but really you can provide that secret sauce. Like, you decide what your audience might respond to, and if you see overlaps between your audience and other types of art form that you think you could mix in and remix, then you're going to get to a better result. By all means, experiment with it. And the really cool thing is that you don't have to spend hours painstakingly researching how to write like J.K. Rowling. You could just get ChatGPT to do it and see what it looks like. So this is the example we're going to use, we're going to start with. And you can see it's very different from the beginning. So if we scroll back up, it's using the word enchanting, spellbinding, it's calling it a craft, and it tells a bit more of a story. And that's quite useful to me because this is already a bit more interesting, or at least different from what we've been doing so far. Now, the problem here is that we are role-playing as J.K. Rowling here. It's even written by J.K. Rowling, which could get you into a lot of trouble. And we don't want to blindly copy celebrities, in my opinion, especially people who are still living, because even though you're not violating their copyright necessarily, you are, I think, being unethical in just copying their style. What I like to do is unbundle this text, right? So I'm just going to take here a new prompt. So we're going to start again. Just going to hit, just start again, and then new chat, rephrase. Just going to hit new chat to start again, and then I'm going to paste in this prompt here. So I'm asking it to describe J.K. Rowling's writing style in bullet points. Do not mention the author and be extremely concise. What this is going to give us is like a writing style. And this is really helpful because it's going to give us a set of bullet points we can use that's going to emulate what we like about J.K. Rowling's style, but we're going to end up something a little bit different. So you can see here it says richly imaginative, character-driven narratives, detailed world building, use of foreshadowing and plot twists. So it's blended out the essence of what J.K. Rowling is and what we like about her. And we can then use that in our prompts, right? So I'm just going to, copy this, and then we're going to go back to a previous conversation here. I'm just going to go to this one here, and then we're going to just paste in, say, rewrite post in this writing style. And now it's going to go back and rewrite them. So it's still going to be similar to J.K. Rowling, but you can see it deviating a little bit here because there's some loss in terms of information, right? Like, we're not capturing everything about J.K. Rowling here, so it leaves some space for creativity. But we're still keeping a lot of the elements that we like about her writing. And we can change these as well. We can remix them. If you like her world building, but you don't like the foreshadowing and plot twists, you can delete that bullet point and change it and get something a little bit different. You could also change the themes that I write about. Instead of friendship, courage, and moral choices, you could ask it to write about different things instead. Once you've unbundled these different aspects from the writer itself, you're going to get to something a bit more original and unique, and you're giving much better direction to ChatGPT. You're going to end up with something that's much better, much more human level, and without ripping off an existing artist or author. So we've covered two different ways of giving direction, the two most popular. One is to ask it to role play as someone who's famous and who would be in the training data that we would know about. And the other is to give it a list of attributes or give it direction in terms of art direction or writing style to follow. And both of these are widely popular. Pretty much every good prompt uses this technique. and it's pretty quick and easy, as you've seen. So it's the first thing that I try, and usually it's enough to get to what I need. These principles don't just apply to text generation, they also apply to image generation as well. If we think about a naive prompt for this blog post, just going to copy and paste this across, create an image that matches this blog post. And it's going to do a pretty decent job because it's got a lot of direction from the blog post itself. You've already given it what it needs to make a good image, but you can also change that direction if it's not what you want. So we're going to see what this comes back with. Here we go. It looks like Harry Potter. It has a fantastical kind of castle. We have a pretty interesting image here, but we can actually change it if we like. So if we don't like the Harry Potter style, we can make it look more like Tolkien. Let's change this and say change the style to look more. So similar fantasy, but obviously a very different style. So we have an image here that's a bit darker. It's not the same children's illustration style. And it just shows that there are thousands of different ways to interpret even just one specific category like fantasy. And this is where giving direction, I think, is the most valuable prompt for anyone who is already pretty creative and has domain expertise in an area. If you know a lot about the fantasy genre, you would know what types of words to use. You wouldn't just use the obvious ones like Tolkien and Harry Potter. You could dive a little bit deeper into the types of styles that the audience knows less about, but are maybe underserved, undiscovered. And the more you can do that, the more obscure sources you can bring into your prompt, the better, more creative the outputs.